Okay, I guess this is a message just as about being a modern woman, liberated woman who's lived past, who's been on a journey of celibacy, which I don't shout about as in like, oh, I'm so proud I've just done 2 months. No, it's been really difficult for me, and we do it because I think I saw something recently. Like, it's a spiritual test, it's a challenge. We accepted it because it's not something that I'd choose for myself, because it's part of how I express myself as a deeply feeling being. But also I had to do so much deprogramming from back in the day of who I'd been in short-term, long-term relationships. So like right now, without needing to share deeply about like my personal past and what relationships I have or haven't been in, which is for some reason to people's like concern at the minute, because people like to be nosy. But in terms of like dating, I don't really date anymore. One, because I've been on this path, so that energy has been locked off to anybody externally. For a long time, I've been cultivating and using it in different areas. And I do that because I know sometimes people are nervous to talk to me, or men are nervous to talk to me. And I'm not on here to talk about my dating life, but this is just something that I'm coming through, that I do believe women who have chosen a path that is slightly different, and some of the younger women that I've spoken to here, like they feel it in that, one, we're not like, I'm now a 40-year-old woman. Like, I'm not going to be doing things on text and figuring out if someone wants to go out with me, and like, even if I'm open to that, and that's whether I decide to open to that space or not about dating, is I'm a traditional old school woman. I'm from an old school family. Like whether I align with all the ways of that is, I am a one woman. Oh, I keep saying this, but this is past life stuff, because I've been very strong men. One man woman, and when I'm in a relationship, like loyal, faithful. That's just who I am. And back in the day when I was single. This time it's different, because my sacred space, my sacred energy, as I put out that video before about it being like, you know, that auric field around us. I'm very mindful of who I allow into that space, just because of how long it's taken me to get out of toxic remnants, or the residue from the hell realm and things that I've been through regarding the sacral and the womb deprogramming and what some beings have deposited. And it's not blame, I made the choice, but whether we know consciously or not at that moment in time of who we're aligning with is hindsight. Yeah, it's a great thing, and it happens later. So I find it really interesting, the comments coming out about like older women with younger men, and obviously here like older men with very young women, and everybody's got different intentions. I'm not here to judge anybody, and I'm not here to be judged. I really don't care about the opinions or the external perspectives of someone who's not lived the life that I've lived, and the choices that I've made for myself up until the here and now, which is like, we're going through massive shifts and there are massive changes happening. A lot of us, because we've integrated and done the work that we need to, so the next level is opening up, and that becomes more about the social and interactions, the mirroring, because there is only so much that we can do in isolation. We need the mirror to elevate. And I've tried to date older in the past, younger, elder men, man, I fell in love with, you know, like, and also some men that have approached me older, and I'm not anti-men. I'm here also as part of the healing of the nations, in alignment with my brothers. Like, I'm not here to bash men at all, because I think humanity has had, even though we talk about the patriarchy dissolving and the matriarchy rising, there's been so much like emotional damage done there, and spiritual and psychological damage to the way that we interact together in the ways that we do, man and woman. And you know, like, I'm of a generation, we didn't really have phones until I think I got my phone 17, 18, and you know, you date and you do things like that, but it's all in person, and someone comes up to you and asks you out, and it's like very physical world. It's not this sort of new Gen X, Gen Z, whatever you call it, who have a greater relationship with the tech and the online space, and who are very emotionally fluid, I feel. But also, like, I find it difficult to be approached by anybody that's not willing to, like, look me in the eye and talk about intentions face to face, that would want to approach a woman, a sacred woman. I consider myself a sacred woman because of the and this is emotional because I'm now, like, connecting with the sacral, and I feel a lot because it's been through a lot, as we all have. But like, how some people allow themselves to approach me in the ways they do, that are just not respectful. I actually had to move house here because of the ways that some, and this is not to talk down anyone here, this is just the way of the world, involved multiple various countries, as you travel, as you exist as a lone woman, single woman. Especially with the work that I've been doing and the shadow realms, it evokes the demons in other people. And the demons, we say, if you believe you can see them, or if it's lower world energies, cool. Without going down that route, it's quite bizarre to me as a 40-year-old woman of, like, how men approach women. And I can only talk from a hetero lived experience because that is me now, and I embody my divine feminine, and I'm manifesting, I am bringing towards me, I'm aligning with kings, divine mirrors, men, and divine empresses, women and men who want to live differently, who are experiencing, God, this is someone's tongue-tied, experiencing themselves in ways they've never experienced before, because of how much is coming through for us to elevate. So someone wants to, like, have deep and private, intimate chat, or, like, answers, and approach me in ways that are, like, online, and I don't need to say on here whether I'm open or not to that, and, like, text it just doesn't float with me. I don't get offended, but I just think it's really sad that we've lost all these old romantic, real world ways of approaching, like, the ways we used to date. You know, the effort that used to be made in terms of, like, slow burn and, like, not rushing in, and I'm not talking about people who have passionate affairs and whatever, that's just part of the world. I'm not talking about that. I'm just not there anymore. I've done what I've needed to do in my life, and I'm aligning with a long-term situation, be that in partnership or be that on the solitary path. I give it all up to the divine because I know we can control nothing. But I also believe in love, and I am love. And so everything around me is love. If I choose to see the loving parts, I can see the shadow now more than I ever have. And it's a shame that love triggers that in other people, because love is really, like, what we all are. For those of us that have been incarnate with souls on the realm, because not everybody has a soul here. So that's another tangent. These are really big times. I don't know what's coming through at the minute, other than women, embodied women who have looked to themselves from the shadow to the light, who've addressed their wounding, who've addressed their physical health, mental health, again, not purist, not perfect, who've done so much work, investing year in, year out, financially, taking themselves out of, whether we do it consciously or we get pulled out, taking themselves out of society, having awakenings. We will not settle for, like, what about you? Like, it's just like, you know, age doesn't necessarily matter, because soul connections can be so deep. And I realise that now in terms of, like, a lot of the soul group and how we're aligned around the world at the minute we've all incarnated through various different waves, whether we believe in the Dolores Cannon waves or other things, is that we've all been born in the times that we've needed to push the, to embody and encourage the ascension on, because that is part of our DNA, and that's all being activated now. So whether we've incarnated earlier or later than another one, if that is in ourselves, if that language, that contract is in ourselves and it gets activated, it's just going to get activated. And so, like, as my age people look at me and think, oh, you know, she's got to be with an older man, some of the men that I've met over my time, like, are carrying so much wounding, and friends of mine, like, I love and adore some of these people, and I'm so grateful that we've all connected and we can all, like, level up together, because the pain and hurt that some men hold in their hearts from previous relationship, divorces as well, like meeting men that are like 50 years old and like feeling what they've been through, and the way they've detached themselves from feeling because of the pain of divorces or the loss, like widowers, and like just given up on life at 50, like they've given up on ever being in a loving relationship again. They've given up on themselves in terms of opening up sensually, intimately, softly, gently with another soul. They've just given up on it because they've given up on themselves, whether they care physically or not. Diet, I'm not here to judge that, but like they just, like, life has just shattered them into pieces. And it's so sad that the society that the West has cultivated, and like, this is why I like to be more in tribal land and communities, because whether I'm part of that or not, like energetically, like I feel these different ways of how the people have moved, and like we were never left like that back in the day. There would always be a healer in the space or the circle. There would always be nature and land to go to talk to. There would always be the sun and the moon, we can call it magic, elements, power to connect with, to allow that energy to move through us and that emotion to move through us, to then be released with the helps of the spirit realms. Maladon and Patrice Sommet is coming through with the Contemplaire and the small people, the forest people. But the way some, and women, like, I'm not here to defend women for my life as a woman that's also just, you know, was discarded in certain ways, but it's this is a message about me as a woman and the male energy that I come into contact with. So the women, we're just amazing. I'm continually humbled by the power and the resilience of the ways in which women connect with love, with their heart, with their mind, nurturing, nourishment, like, and to the point where, you know, we're not in that people pleaser and over-giving era anymore. But I'm so grateful to be alive for the restoration of the matriarchy. It makes me very emotional. I feel like my nan. I feel all of the women that have come before me channeling all of their energy and love into me right now, from all timelines, all lifetimes, all realms. And so, I don't know, I guess this is a call out to brothers, sisters who watch this, you know, when we're connecting with the sacred energy around us and inside of us, and consider ourselves sacred beings, because we've been put on, like, we've been put on the earth as this light. This is obviously the meat suit, or I don't really like that, but, you know, this is like our home, physical home. We learn to love it because that's the language that we need to be mastering if we speak to if we want to connect with the messages that we need to from the angelic realms and from the divine. Is through love that we access that. And I just guess that it's like, can we sort of just get off our phones and start to cultivate normal relationships again? Say normal, this word's coming up twice, so something in the collective must be about breaking free from the limitations of, like, the words that we've been we've had to exist around or within, and you know, just be who we be, and like cultivate respectful, loving connections slowly over time, through knowing ourselves and knowing what's ours and not to sort of want to take from another energy. You know, like, we ask questions, like, for me, some of the elders, the men that they carry so much wound in, and they believe themselves to be, you know, shaman and healers, and I just see the pain and the level of control around certain things with behaviours towards women, and it's sad. It's really sad. And I'm not here to judge anybody on the path that they've taken or chosen or where they're at. But it's like, if we're a woman that sees and feels, well, we can't deny ourselves what we see and what we feel, and we have to just move away from those connections if they're hurting us, or if we know that we can't enter into a connection with that person when it's not balanced, because then it's obviously going to be taking from, because that person hasn't found the balance in them. So of course it's going to be outweighed one way or the other. And a lot of us women have done that for too long. And the matriarchy here is as a firm lioness, as the mama of the pride, to have the boundaries up, to be like, step to me with respect. As somebody who has gone through their own life challenges, we don't need to know about what people go through, but having gone through our own darkness and risen from the ashes, we acknowledge that someone might also be keeping their secrets, having things that they keep to themselves, because they've moved past it or moved beyond it healthily. But we can't give up on ourselves at 40 or 50 thinking that, that's it, we're ready for death. Life our soul is eternal, and the games will up level as long as we play and interact with it. So we can't give up. And many of us, I can't say all, because I don't know about the all, because at the end of the day, what do I really know? I'm just here chatting breeze. We're aligning our chakras, we're coming back to a state of internal balance, and we know ourselves, and we deserve respect, and we deserve playfulness and fun, and we deserve to maintain our own privacy without needing to reveal our intentions with everybody. We can have sacred connections, but ultimately let that be in person. Like, why is everything being done on the phone and through memes? And I get it, it's fun at some point, but like looking someone in the eye, like people can't look at each other in the eye anymore. It's like, it's really sad. Like being honest, like taking responsibility for ourselves and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, because love heals and love shatters. Like, it shatters illusions and it can shatter our heart. But at the end of the day, like, we are strong enough, because otherwise we'd be dead, strong enough to survive the challenges that come on the physical plane. And so why wouldn't we want to embrace love in our lives? But that has to be aligned with our higher self, not through the wounding in the lower three chakras. Like, as I talked before, the root, the sacral and the solar. If we haven't healed what we need to around our finances, our relationships to self, our inner world, our shadow, our sexual power, our creativity, our flow, our like earth element, water element, and the solar plexus, our personal power, our confidence, balancing confidence versus against arrogance, like balancing all of that out, we can't ascend to the heart. We literally just live our lives out in those three lower chakras. So we can't operate truly in the heart or the high heart chakra if we don't balance that and don't address. And I can't say we heal or cure it for eternity, because I just don't know at the minute. We continue to work on things in this realm, but once we activate the higher heart, it changes everything. We speak our truth. Like, that's all. Our throat chakra is connected to the sacral. Like, me having cultivated my personal space for 2 years as celibate, like no sex, is connected to my throat chakra. I've been able to feel fully just in my own energy, in my own power, from that abstinence, or whatever we want to call it, throat chakra. We start to see clearly. Once the heart, once we're here, we can activate the other. And these are just 7 simplified chakras that have come over from the east to the west. We've got loads more chakras. We've got hand chakras. That's why people, I prefer to do that as a hello, as opposed to people do high-fiving and stuff. We've got loads of chakras in our hands, our palms. You could be palm readers. Like in my family, we've got tea leaf readers. There's so much going on in our hands. I don't necessarily want to be touching people's hands, palms. This is sacred. Our vessel's sacred, and I think we need to start acting like it. We need to start approaching people as sacred beings, and see what energy we get back. We would be open with our intentions. If you want to take someone on a date, you'd be open. You're not doing this over text or this, that and the other. As in, like, can we just be emotionally and mature about it? Can we be respectful, honourable, loving beings to each other, so that we can see each other at 2022 2 on the clock where we're at, and keep it moving, like, rather than work from the lower chakras, where it's really just about personal gain and like instant gratification and giving in to our impulses. And where I'm at, like, we don't do that, or not all the time. You know, women, we work very much on a cyclical basis and are ruled by other things. But giving into our impulses, this is the indulgence all the time, we haven't mastered our emotions. We need to master our emotions, otherwise we're just going to get lost in someone else, in something else, in a place, or someone else's mission, someone else's purpose, not our own. And so the levels of self-mastery, the emotions, loving thyself, knowing thyself, like, determines the relationships that we have in our life and where we fight, like, what we bring towards us. And we need to be really, really clear in that. Otherwise, people can misunderstand our power and our love and our energy, because maybe they've never been around that type of energy before. And probably no one has, because there's only one of us. So no one's got my energy because they're not me. And no one's got your energy because they're not you. And so we each bring a unique spice, a unique wonder, a unique set of tools, skills, abilities to the realm. And it's up to us if we want to awaken that. Like, no one else can eat for me or develop my psychic abilities other than me. Someone might try and play with it from afar, which is very, very silly, because that's from their wounding. But once we address that, like, how can anyone else external to us have power over us when we know that they're operating from a wounded root, sacral, solar plexus chakra? They've not actually awoken the heart. How can anyone have power over us when they can't see themselves clearly because they're lying to themselves? It does not work. And so I think there's a few things here, and I know the passion and the spice is coming out, because I want more for us. Like, I desire growth for us all, and for us all to elevate. So it's just a little bit boring and frustrating to keep going around in circles and saying, I don't have time for